It's your turn to get job advice and about job hunting as well as career transition. Randy Wooden from the Wooden Group joins us. If you have a question, call that number you see right there, 1-800-807-8255. We already have some people calling in. Tammy is in Thomasville this morning. Hey, Tammy. Are you there? Can't hear Tammy, so we'll just kind of, we'll go on to one of the questions that I had, which is, you know, the hardest part, it seems like these days, is just getting in the door. What has changed that makes it so different?
It can be, Bob. Actually, what's changed is technology. Because now, with the internet, people from all over the country, whether they're qualified or not, can find jobs that are posted. And so, as the hiring department within a company maybe used to only take in 20 or 30 or 40 resumes, now they may get 500 or 1,000 or more.
And you say may not be qualified, but what about, we have a lot of people in this area who worked in other industries that are now transitioning. So say I worked in furniture or I worked in textiles, and I think, well, those higher tech companies like, you know, RF Micro Devices companies that work in, that's not my field. Can those people you find transition?
It's more a skill versus industry that will bode well for somebody. If their skills are solid in communications or technology, they can learn new skills. The problem then becomes getting a chance to show that in an interview, and so it goes back to networking versus just simply sending a piece of paper and hoping that somebody can glean from that you can do a job.
All right, Janet is in Seagrove this morning. Good morning, Janet.
Good morning.
Hey, I was just wondering, I have put in applications, tons of them, and I never get called back. Just like they need help and they never call me back. I mean, I call them and check on them, and they say, we're doing interviews right now. You know, you should be expecting a phone call, and they never call. Am I doing something wrong, or?
Sure, don't call us, we'll call you. That's how it goes. It goes back to the point of it's a numbers game, and you're one of so many. They don't know or necessarily care about your uniqueness and what you may be able to do for them, and so it goes back to networking, or in this case, if you know the company and you know they have an opening, do some investigative reporting and find out who the hiring official is. Find out through your network of friends, do you know anybody in the company? Can somebody help walk your resume into the hiring official? That's really what it takes a lot these days. So many people could be qualified, and then it becomes, why do we pick you versus maybe one of the 50 or 200 other people that could also do the job?
Brittany is calling from Trinity this morning. Good morning, Brittany.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My question was, a lot of these businesses today say that they want someone that's experienced. If you can't get in the door in the first place, you know, what can you do to gain that experience that they're looking for?
Difficult question. I get that a lot from people that are just entering the workforce, particularly coming out of college. And some things you might want to consider doing could be some volunteer work, so that on your resume you can now show that you have been doing the job. A good example I had a few years ago, somebody was involved in the public relations business. They wanted to get into that a little bit more, but they didn't have anything they could put on their resume. So what I did was I said, why don't you go to the Red Cross and and volunteer to do some writing for them, and now on the Red Cross letterhead you have shown the ability to do the job. And so that helped her make a transition. I don't know if that helps a lot, but that's the thought process, is get something from another job, whether it's volunteer work or not, that can show, hey, I have the skills that you need.
Jason is in Burlington this morning. Good morning, Jason.
Morning, how y'all doing?
Good.
Doing well.
Hey, my question is, I have a specialty in like selling cell phones and satellite radios and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I can't find a job doing that. Is there any way that, you know, I can find a...
In sales of cell phones?
Uh-huh.
That, I would think that there's a ton of turnover in that industry. I'd wonder, do I want to stay in that, just from my experience working with people in that area, but I would think there are plenty of jobs in those areas. I'd go back to people that maybe you sold to, people that you've worked with, maybe who've gone on to other companies in that industry, and maybe use that as a launching pad. But I've got to think that's such a wide open field with technology. You ought to be able to find a job in sales. It may go back to the resume may not be good. Maybe when you interview, you just don't do a great job of selling yourself. Could be some other factors.
What do you do if, in that proverbial overqualified thing, you know, people who maybe been working 20, 30 years, their company went bankrupt, downsized, or whatever, so now I've got all this experience, and people keep saying, well, you know, you're overqualified. That's got to drive somebody crazy.
It does, and you would think a company wants a bang for the buck, but the reality is what's going to happen is they look at issues, and you don't like to talk about it, but age and associated health care costs, and frankly, If somebody's overqualified, how long will they stay in that job? Are they just taking that as a Band-Aid job until they can find something that pays
Right.
better? And
So
that's the fear of the company's fear.
Can you promise them some way? Say, I'll sign a contract. Would that help?
You can always offer that, but here again, they can't hold you to that. I mean, the reality is it's a buyer's market in a lot of cases, and so sometimes it's tough to work. I run into that sometimes too with my clients.
All right, again, this is Randy Wooden from the Wooden Group. Thanks for joining us this
You're
morning.
welcome.
Cindy?
Thanks, Bob.